PLA 3D printing filament is made from corn, so it must be recyclable, right? Yeah, sort of. Not really. I've been helping a family member get into 3D printing, and it's honestly been a lot of fun. It's fascinating, it's practical, and yeah, it does add more plastic into a world that already has too much of it. And we all know where that ends up: landfills, oceans, even in our bodies. So I've been trying to figure out, can I justify using this technology without lying to myself? Let's start with the good parts. PLA is not petroleum based. It's made from plant material like cornstarch. It also tends to have lower emissions and toxicity compared to other plastics. But more importantly, it can actually reduce waste if you use it the right way. For example, I lost the control knob on my crock pot. Normally, that's the kind of thing that turns a perfectly good appliance into trash. Instead, I printed a replacement. Same thing with a broken strap on a VR controller. Instead of buying a whole replacement set, I just printed the one small part I needed. I also cleaned out a drawer because I planned to print an organizer and found not one, not two, but 3 rolls of the same tape. All bought because I thought I was out. Trust me, this is just one example of me doing stuff like that, so yeah. An organizer is definitely on the menu. And that's really the best use of 3D printing: small, targeted fixes that prevent bigger waste. A tiny piece of plastic, used in the right way, can replace something much larger. Now, here's where things get less ideal. You'll often hear that PLA is compostable. Technically true, which is the best kind of true, right? But in reality, it's only compostable in industrial facilities that reach high temperatures. If you toss it in your backyard compost, it'll sit there for months or years looking pretty much the same. And most industrial composting centers don't accept 3D printing waste anyway, especially since filament often contains additives and isn't clearly labeled. So for most of us, composting isn't really an option. What about recycling? Again, technically possible, but most recycling systems are designed for petroleum-based plastics, and PLA can actually contaminate those streams. There are some specialized options. For example, the Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub accepts PLA through a composting partnership. Link in the description. Even if you don't live there, it's a good place to learn what to look for, and there are mail-in programs like Print Area Designs, which offers points toward recycled filament, and TerraCycle, which will take your plastic but sometimes for a fee. So yes, recycling exists, but it's not exactly convenient or always locally available. At home, your options are limited. There are machines that can recycle filament, but they're expensive. Some people melt down PLA and reuse it in molds or sheets, which is probably the most realistic DIY option. But it's still pretty niche. So where does that leave us? PLA isn't a miracle material. It's not something you can casually toss into your recycling bin and feel good about. But it's also not useless. For me, the value comes down to how it's used. If I'm printing random junk, I'm just adding to the problem. But if I'm using small amounts of material to repair things, extend the life of products, or avoid bigger purchases, then I'm probably coming out ahead. So my goal isn't perfect recycling. It's less waste overall. Using intentional prints to avoid throwing away larger items, or buying things I don't actually need. Maybe that's not a perfect solution, but it's at least an honest one. Let me know what you think. Is 3D printing helping reduce waste, or just creating more of it? I'm still a little ambivalent, so I'd love to hear how you're using it and whether it's actually making a difference. If you enjoy these kinds of conversations, feel free to subscribe and like the video. And until next time, take care.